Welcome to the third Anticipate service of this 2020 Advent season here at Fletcher United Methodist Church. We're glad you're joining us.
Our congregational song for today's service will be O Come, Emmanuel, and it's a version that we've done quite a few times in our Anticipate services with the melody that you know, but with a new musical arrangement by Sufjan Stevens and also a different refrain. And so if you're not familiar with this version, there will be music for you to follow along with during the song. So we ask that you join us now in singing O Come, Emmanuel. O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, 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 rejoice. O come, thou dayspring, come and cheer our spirits by thine advent here. Disperse the gloomy clouds of night, and death's dark shadows put to flight. Rejoice, 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 rejoice. O come, thou Lord of might, who to thy tribes on Sinai's height in ancient times didst give the law in cloud and majesty and awe. Rejoice, 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 rejoice. Out of the deep have I called unto thee, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice.
O Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger, or discipline me in your wrath. Be gracious to me, O Lord, for I am languishing. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are shaking with terror. My soul also is struck with terror, while you, O Lord, how long?
Out of the deep have I called unto thee, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice.
Turn, O Lord, save my life. Deliver me for the sake of your steadfast love. For in death there is no remembrance of you. In Sheol, who can give you praise? I'm weary with my moaning. Every night I flood my bed with tears. I drench my couch with weeping. My eyes waste away because of grief. They grow weak because of all my foes.
Out of the deep have I called unto thee, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice.
Depart from me, all you workers of evil, For the Lord has heard the sound of my weeping. The Lord has heard my supplication. The Lord accepts my prayer. All my enemies shall be ashamed and struck with terror. They shall turn back and in a moment be put to shame.
Out of the deep have I called unto thee, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice.
My name is Shonnie Streder, and I am currently in the ordination process for deacon in the United Methodist Church. I've been in this process for about 7 years now, which is longer than the ordinary amount of time that it takes to become ordained. But in that time, my family and I have moved across the country from Louisiana to here. And we've also welcomed 2 children into our family. And so that's a little the reason why it's taken so long to get to this point. Last year, I finished up my Master's of Art and Christian Practice at Duke Divinity, and I'm currently just waiting to go to interviews to be approved as a provisional member of the Order of Deacons. We moved here about 4 years ago, and we live just around the corner from Fletcher United Methodist Church. But we found Fletcher UMC about a year ago, well, this past January, right before the whole pandemic happened. So we were here for a couple of months and didn't really get to know very many people, but we're looking forward to getting to know more of you as time moves on. And hopefully we're able to be face-to-face more. I will tell you that when you do get to know me, you will find that I say just about whatever's on my mind. That means when I have a question, I usually ask it. And when I have an observation, I usually make it, and I usually say it out loud, which I'm fully aware some people would say is a strength and others would say is a growing edge. I'm okay with it. And I have learned a little bit more tact in the process. As I've realized that this is part of my personality, I've also added a little bit more tact. But when I was starting out in seminary, I didn't have so much of that. And I started out in seminary with a group of people who knew a lot more about the Methodist Church and about the Bible in general than I did. I grew up in a denomination that's different than the United Methodist Church. And when I started seminary, I found out just how much different my understanding was. I started out, my very first semester was in an Old Testament class, and I remember when we started talking about the Psalms. And I just opened my mouth, and before I knew it, I let slip out, man, I am not looking forward to this part. I feel like all David does is complain. And I got some stares from the people in my class. And also my professor was not amused in the least bit. And I learned 3 things very quickly about the Psalms. 1, David did not write all the Psalms, as I thought he had. 2, complaint and lament are not the same. Complaint can be empty, selfish words, whereas lament is more of a type of worshipful, honest prayer to God. I also learned that lament is a necessary part of our emotional process as humans. Without lamenting over our unmet expectations, we can't realize the full joy of our current circumstances, of our current reality. I'm not sure about you, but this year for me, I've had a lot of unmet expectations, as I'm guessing many of you have. I expected to get to know all of you. I expected for friendships that I currently have to grow and expand and develop. I expected to host people in my home. I expected that my 6-year-old would have a similar first day of school that I had when I started school, full of joyful faces and new and different learning experiences. I expected to spend Thanksgiving with my extended family. And we had already purchased tickets to Disneyland, and I had already expected to see my children's faces light up when I gave them to them. I know some of you were expecting to see loved ones again before they were lost to this stupid virus. There are some of you who may expected to have had a job for the rest of the year and to put food on your table. I'm part of a mom's group on Facebook. I'm going to try to hold it together. And there are a lot of unmet expectations surrounding providing gifts for their kids for the holidays. And amid all of this, I feel a lot of pressure to just put on a happy face because of the season that we're in and because it's what we've been told we should do. But friends, I just want to ask you if we can make a little room for lament so that we can journey towards joy and not just settle for that look of a happy face. The feeling of lament doesn't have to last long, but can we at least make a little space for it? Would you be okay with that? As I was feeling this need to truly lament over this year and the unmet expectations that it brought, I started reading through some of the Psalms of Lament, such as the one you heard earlier, trying to find words to use to properly express my concerns to God. Then I started thinking about what I would write myself about this year. I knew I could never be as eloquent as the psalmists, but I also know that God pours out grace and can handle the rigidity of my words as long as it comes from the honesty of my heart. I do not want to speak on your behalf to God, but if you feel that the prayer I'm about to read will help you express some lament over your unmet expectations as well, please feel free to pray along with me. If they do not quite touch on your level of lament, I would ask that you please take some time this week to write out your own, for the sake of experiencing greater joy on the other side of the lament. Ask God to hear you out and to provide grace for your expression of lament. Talk to God about what you've experienced and what you're feeling. Then recognize who God is in the midst of those feelings. He can handle it. God can handle those feelings. Please pray with me as you see fit. Oh God, please hear these words and provide grace for any attitude that is less than holy. Please don't be angry with me for the amount of ignorance I bring to the table. Please have mercy on me because I am finding it hard to rejoice, even in this season which is meant to celebrate your good and glorious gift in Jesus Christ, your Son. Things have not worked out the way I wanted them to, and I'm sad about it. I'm in fear and surrounded by fear of a virus that seems to be swarming the earth, causing sickness and taking lives, of changes in my way of life caused by this virus and humanity's way of dealing with it, of the judgment that comes from others when my level of care is not seen as good enough, of the judgment that comes when my level of care is seen as over the top, of my own comfort in jumping to these same judgments lately. How much longer, God? Rescue us, God. show us the way. Show us how to love our neighbors well. Show us how to worship you rightly in a time when we cannot fully be together in person. I know your word paints a picture of connection, but how can we fully be connected when we cannot share space? We keep trying. Please create in us a creative spirit. Forgive any attitude within me that wants to sit idly by while others figure it out. Help us all to see an even clearer picture of your goodness to the point where we are overwhelmed by it, so we find it hard to settle for being filled by any other thing. I know you love us, and you hear this prayer. Guide us to joy, God. Guide us to joy.
This song is about a joyless place that some of us find in our lives, where we feel like we're lost in the woods. We don't know where we are. We don't know how we're going to get out of that place. But this song in and of itself is a journey where we find that joy, where we feel that we belong, where we feel called into God's family, where we can feel that joy ever close to us.
Fading memories ignored, I crawl across the forest floor. Pool reflects an orphan child, dirty, lost, alone and wild. Fatherless and nameless still, fallen heart and broken will. There ever be a place where I belong? I cower 'neath the monster trees and try to stand on tired feet, but gravity knocks me to the ground, where I give up, tears roll down. I claw the dust and beg the end, and curse the day that I began to hope there'd be a place where I belong. I hear a sound I recognize. You lift my chin and seek my eyes. A song of love you sing to me. I ache to sing it back to thee. Father love prepares a home, brother Jesus leads you on. Follow to a place where you belong. How did I miss this wondrous song? The forest sang it all along. A river rinses all your shame. Father offers you his name. Father love prepares a home, and brother Jesus leads you on. Follow to the place where you belong.
We want everything to look nice. The decorations of the season, our homes with their lights and tinsel, wreaths and ribbons. We want to lighten the darkness around us, bring beauty to the ugliness that wears us down. We decorate because it's tradition, because it lifts our hearts, because it makes us feel like children again. We deck our halls because Jesus is coming. The prophet Isaiah smiled when he said, God will give a garland instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, a mantle of praise instead of a faint spirit. No matter how far we feel from the spirit of the season, God promises to decorate us with love and with joy. We light these candles as a sign of our joy in the beautiful things of the season, not just the things that glitter and flash, but the deeper things, the beauty of the heart and the soul, the beauty of love shared in service and hospitality. We light this candle of joy because Jesus is coming. O come, Emmanuel.